Mastali deadly amedonjo ndani ya studio. I'm talking about a media personality, a radio host, a TV host, PR strategist, entrepreneur, CEO, founder, POV podcast, and finally a lawyer. I'm talking about Cate Rira. Welcome in the house. Mambo vipi?
Let me tell you, I'm barely introduced by people. So when someone introduces me, I'm like, me. Okay, so yeah. Cate Rira is ako kwa block. Niko kwa block na Silvah Kido.
Welcome to the last hour. This is Kwa Block with Silvah Kido. We've got Cate Rira in studio to talk about her journey, inspiration, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And finally, she might be heading back to the TV screens. Maybe it will be Best Radio. I don't know. We're going to come back with more in the next few. But for now, Mechi Trio Mio playing shortly on bestradio.co.ke. Wabe, Gabu, Frasha, and Jom Farmer playing on bestradio.co.ke. Welcome back. This is bestradio.co.ke. My good name is Silvah Kido. Finally, we've been waiting the hour. We've been waiting. One and only media personality. I'm talking about a radio and a TV host, a lawyer, PR strategist, entrepreneur, CEO, founder, POV podcast. Cate Rira, welcome to Bez Radio.
Niko kwa block na mpaka nashangaa. Kwani ni mimi ama niko kwa block nashangaa. Kwani ni mimi napewa hizi all this accolades. Lakini thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
Maana nina raha. Karibu niamke nianze kudonjo kumalo.
Finish kumalo.
Yes, kufinish kumalo. I'm happy to be here. I think it's been over 4 years since I've been in radio. This is the first time in 4 years I've been in radio.
What have you been up to?
I have been living life. Kula raha. Kula shida saa zingine. Lakini I've been to a lot of things. I opened a store and a beauty store, a beauty shop. I started a blog. I started focusing on my PR work. Nimekuwa nikifanya vitu mingi. Nikaamua ni date, nikaamua ni si date. Mambo ni mengi. Nazurura Kenya hii. Unaona?
Cate, to my Bez Radio listeners, they want to understand, they want to know who is Cate Rira.
Cate Rira is a lover of life, someone who's very happy with what God has done for her. Talanta niliopewa ni ya kutumia sauti yangu naisikia kwa sasa hivi. I have used my voice to carve a lot of things. Let's talk about Kenyan music. I wouldn't lie, I'm one of the first people to ever do an all Kenyan concert. I was one of the first people to ever do it. I did it in 2018 in Ngoma Fest. It was such a big concert. So I'm a champion of Kenyan music. I always love Kenyan music. I'm a woman who's very keen on creating her own path. Ndio maana nimetengeneza podcast yangu pale. Ndio maana nimeingia kwa entrepreneurship. So mimi ni mwanamke bomba. Other than just being a media personality, I'm a woman who believes in just being the best version of herself. Bas.
Wow. That's good. What about other women?
Other women, I think they're doing quite okay. I love my girlies. Hey, wasichana wangu sicheze na wao. Kwa kila kitu ambayo wanafanya, wanafanya na ukamilifu. Na nawaheshimu. Let me tell you something. Me, I love all women of all walks of life. Literally, my last interview for season 1 of the POV podcast was a lady of the night, a commercial sex worker. And we talked about life and so I love all Kenyan women from all walks of whatever you do. Mi na madem tuko pamoja, tunashikana. Na kwanga team girls mbaya.
Kuruka.
Hata sasa ningekwambia kwani why is there no extra women in this place?
We do have them.
Ningekuwa nimesema venye sasa ofisi imejaa ndume lakini hamna shida ni sawa.
Hamna shida.
Leo ni MCM. Ni man crush Monday, so ni sawa. Wacha tu akae huko ndani.
It's allowed for today.
It's allowed for today.
Cate, I know you with the humble background. How did you find yourself inspiration behind, finger spells in the media space?
It's crazy because I was in second year of law school. And I tell this story so many times, it's so crazy. I was in second year of law school and I did my audition for radio on video. YouTube haikuwa hot then. Ka video kangu kasichana kakonde zaidi hata kajajua kupaka makeup vizuri. Kakafanya video. And when it went viral, my classmates in law school laughed. And some of them were like, "Guy, is that you? What were you doing?" And I didn't win the competition. I came in number 2. But a year down the line, the one who had won the competition stepped down. So wakanita. Even though lingia radio between the first month, nikatupwa kwa show mzima. Prime time show, 3 to 7 p.m. drive show, ningia. Mtoto mdogo, ningia pale ndani. Kidogo kidogo, I'm on TV. Kidogo kidogo, I'm on another radio. I didn't end my radio journey, but my last time on radio was at Nation, where we are the ones who brought back Nation with the breakfast show. I was Cate Rira. Na pale kwenye TV Lit 360. So, niweke auditions, utoke nje, ujitume nje, utapatana na mambo yako huko nje.
You're going to, for the radio, for the first time, your job on radio.
Yeah.
Uliwacha law shule ulieka kando because
imagine I put school aside, a second year student going to third, I left it to join radio. It was such a leap of faith, lakini ilibidi ifanye. That's why I landed where I am. Unajua maisha inatakaga hivyo, you have to take a leap of faith. Usipo jamani, how will you know you're good at something without trying? So I had to try. So I closed that chapter, but bado masomo iko kichwani, bado tunasoma, bado tunaendelea.
Maisha lazima utake risk, wanasema siku zote. Coming back with more details about now Cate Rira's journey, but for now allow me to play for you Sema Ngwe by one and only Silvah Kido. Vibes on vibes.
Eish. Mbithi, I know Mbithi and I like his stuff. Mbithi zidi na kazi mzuri. I really like what he does.
Umemjulia wapi?
Mbithi alianza mbali, huyu si mtu wa juzi. Namjulia mbali. When he was doing with King Kaka, I think I've heard his music a couple of times. Yeah, na nimeipenda.
That was Vibes on Vibes, Njerea featuring Mbithi playing on Bez Radio .co.ke, and we are back. Cate Rira. Unajua COVID ilikuja ikafanya ile kitu.
Ile ting. Ile ting.
Ukajita kama mkutano. Kila mtu alijita mkutano. Wakenya wote walijita mkutano.
Where?
How did you manage to survive COVID, by the way?
First of all, I left radio just in COVID because people are really losing their jobs. So I had to leave at that time. Contract ikaisha, so I had to pack my bags and go. And then a few months down the line, come 2021, nikasema wacha nifungue ka beauty parlor pale. So I had a beauty shop in Tao, a section of mine where I was doing makeup and doing other things. And then the president bado anasema kufungwe. But then the president was really not working in my favor. So watu wanapaka makeup na wanaendi mahali. People are really not, beauty industry was not a priority at that time because, people are not going anywhere. So I really struggled. I wasn't able to manage the business. I wasn't able to make ends meet. So I had to funga. Imagine. Sasa umemwaga pesa pale ndani. You don't have a job. So you're like, let me do a business that I keep on getting income and I don't have. Nilisweat msee. Nilisweat kutusufai kusema nilisweat ya wapi.
It was operating for how many months?
I didn't even last for long. It's even 5 months if I went for too long. 5-6 months. It didn't last for long. That's the truth. Heri niseme ukweli, haiku last for long.
That was the best decision you had to do.
At that time, because unaona, if you're struggling to make ends meet, you're struggling to nini your people, to maintain your people, amna haja. Funga. Rethink again. So I had to sit and rethink again. What do I do next? Nitumia akili yangu nifanye strategies za wase wanahitaji PR strategies wananipigia. So we did a couple of PR campaigns along the year. Mungu akanibariki. I got a very big deal with Smirnoff at that time because I was the ambassador for Smirnoff for 2021, 2022. Something that paid me good guap. So it would sustain me. Nika release my losses. But yeah, so life happens. But it only happens when you try. Itabidi ujaribu. Kama singejaribu, singejua makosa za kuingia kwa biashara. Because I literally jumped into that shop.
Just to understand this, how did you manage to overcome all this, manage the work, life balance? How did you overcome all this?
I think for me it's not hard because I don't have a lot. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. So I'm just working most of my life. And this is something I love to do. When I opened a beauty shop, I love beauty. So that's easy. I don't choose hard things. I choose easy things. So me being in media was easy. Me doing PR strategy is easy. Me acting is easy. Me being on radio, on TV. Me standing in front of a crowd to MC a gig is easy. So I choose the easy. So balance for me is not a tough thing because nimechagua ile rahisi kwangu. Na si rahisi ati kwa mwingine lakini ni rahisi kwa roho yangu. It brings peace and love to my heart. That's why it's easy for me. Sionangi kiwa tough.
Then what motivates you to work? Kama utaki family ya una vitu.
What motivates me to work? See my goals. Na siku moja si watakuja tu. Watakuja. Wakiletwa na basi yao watakuja.
Basi ya Mbukinya basi gani hiyo?
Hiyo basi nipandie wapi sijui, labda mnionyeshe. But when the time comes, see ati I'm not working for them. Hata kama sasa nafanya kazi, hata kama hawako, I'm working for the future family. you know, ndo akija wanipata hata mimi niko tayari kiasi. So it's not that I'm not working for the family, it's just it's never been a big goal for me. Unajua sisi ma career girls, career women, you know, women independence, those have been our goals, that hiyo ndio imekuwa focus for so long. But una realize life is not only about career women. Lazima utafute binadamu mkae naye muendanishe, huwezi kaa peke yako. No one is an island. Yeah.
So you mean you have what is your biggest goal then?
My biggest goal, of course, is to impact Kenya in a very big way. Ya kwamba by the time namwa nifunge macho na tuseme story yangu imeisha, nime impact Kenya in such a big way, sema Udema aliguza roho yangu. Watu 2, 3, 5 wakisema niliguza roho yangu, mimi nimetosheka. The rest is not my problem.
All right, to the best radio listeners, maze, I don't know you guys, bado mmestick kwa goli yenyu, tuko June na vile vitu kwa ground ziko, I don't know. Coming next for you, Afresh by Young Donor, then later on I'll play for you Kuna Kuna, Vink West, Furthermore and Savara. Kate, do you have a favorite song?
Kuna Kuna ndio nataka. Iyo tuna katika kukatika. Iyo ndo nangoja. All right, Afresh, Young Donor, playing right now on bezradio.co.ke. Inani kuna kuna. Inani kuna kuna. Inani kuna kuna. Wewe sasa jua nitakwambia kisiri, nitakwambia tukizima mic.
Kuna kuna, Vink West, Furthermore, Savara, playing on bezradio.co.ke. What a vibe, what a song, what a story. Kate, you miss radio, yeah?
Sana. Jamani, you know it's been 4 years. 4 years. Unakumbuka ule ex wako ulikuwa unampenda, umuone tena after 4 years.
Tupashi magabichi sisi. Tunamalizana na ex tukifuta namba tukienda.
Yamna. Sasa zingine unarudi unaangalia kama ako sawa.
Jamani ni pepo gani?
No, but for real, I miss radio. I miss the noise. I miss the music. I miss the hype. It was such a good energy. Uongea even unaongea na watu wako pale WhatsApp, unaongea kwa mtandao kwenye lines, and it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. The music, it's just, that's it for me.
What is that one thing you love most doing on radio?
I think mostly sana sitadanganya, na miss sana kuongelesha Wakenya on the ground. Because walikuwa nakupigia simu, nimefanya hivi, salima mamangu. There was all these things that you could hear, and that human connection was it for me. Unajua? Because tunaongelea issues, kuna watu wengi tulisaidia maisha, sasa wanapiga simu, saa zingine wameumia, saa zingine it's happy. Just bringing joy to people, that was it for me.
That was it for you.
That kuna mtu anaamka kila asubuhi anangoja, umeamka, hata mimi nimeamka. Yeah.
Just to ask you, is there a story maybe it moved on you?
Yes.
Touching story.
There's one that moved on me and touched me so much that I eventually met the guy. It was so crazy. He'd called in, we were talking about women betraying men. Alikuwa anasema venye alipeleka msichana shule, akamsomesha msichana, hata one point akapata cancer, akamsaidia. Na ingawa huyu msichana bado akaendelea kuja kumsaliti. The girl ended up dating someone else and not him. And we talked about it, we solved it on radio, and it was so weird. He was my taxi driver like 2-3 days after. So mimi nimeingia nimekaa ninasema nipeleke huko na huko. Cate Rira, unajua ule mtu alipiga simu, na tukaongea, and we eventually even talked more because the ride was quite long. And I was like, I told him, by the way, you really need to know that binadamu hata mkifanya nini na yeye, you can never be sure what they're going to do. Another one, a guy called in, and sadly he came to find out that his fiance was HIV positive. So we had to reach out after, take him for counseling. Some of these things are very impact, by the way. So we had to take him through counseling outside of radio, because he had called in anataka asaidiwe na hiyo mambo. Na mimi nikamwambia nipe namba yako baadaye tuongee, because this is not something small. This is someone he intended to marry and things like that. So we had those deep conversations with a lot of people. It was really impactful for me. For real. It was very impactful. I loved it. I did.
Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Kate, POV podcast.
My new baby, the POV podcast Kenya. Kama hujafollow unafanya nini?
Please.
Unafanya nini?
Tukumbushe kwanza socials.
The POV podcast Kenya, the POV podcast everywhere. The POV podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Instagram. And if you go to my channel, Cate Rira, you always find the link there. I'm getting into season 2. It's all about African stories, African leaders. Tunaongelea mambo mingi sana. My first episode kwanza inaenda live kesho.
Yay!
Asubuhi na mapema.
What time?
I think we're going to be up by 11 a.m. mtaona story yetu ya kwanza, mtaona ka controversy pale na pale kama kawaida. The POV podcast was born last year in February. It was one of my birthday gifts to myself. Every birthday, I usually buy something for myself. The first thing I bought for myself in 2021 was a business. The podcast was my second birthday. So this mwaka sijeza kujinunulia kitu, but maybe next year nitajinunulia kitu kubwa zaidi. My birthdays napenda kujipa kitu, you know, like a big thing. So the POV podcast has been up. It's on season 2 right now. Working with Semabox, Baraza Media. I'm in their incubator program, so it's super amazing. I just want guys to go check it out, stream, subscribe ndio uone nini inaendelea. Kwenye TikTok uone zile kachot zetu, weka comments, share. Ambia kila mtu POV is back, bigger and better. The podcast space in Kenya is growing, but I'm glad to be one of the leaders.
Pioneers.
As a pioneer, not really. I'm not a pioneer in that business, but I'm glad to be among the number.
Among the few.
Yes, among the few doing really, really good and being consistent. Si rahisi lakini inawezekana. Tumeona juzi wanaitwaje wa KFCB wanajaribu kuingia kwa YouTube kubana nini, so cha watu watafute shilingi. Mnaingia kwa YouTube zetu alafu you know, podcast is outside. Najua yako ni radio, hii yetu ni podcast. But bado zinazidi, and it's, you know, it's a venture that I'm glad I'm doing.
All right, nice to know.
Yeah.
We're coming back with more details about the POV podcast Kenya. But for now, allow me to play for you some Butterfly. The one and only Nameless. I don't know if it's your favorite time as well.
Napenda.
Unapenda tu.
Bang bang we bang bang we bang.
Ati?
We bang bang we bang bang.
Unabang nini mlango nini?
Tuna bang finance na pesa na kule treasury huko ndo tuna bang sana.
Talking about, you know, podcast.
Yeah.
We know very well right now in Kenya we've seen so many, you know, the rise of, you know, Kenyan listening to podcast listeners is growing very, very high.
Yeah.
As well, we've seen so many people want to understand actually what is the difference between, you know, podcast and a radio.
I think most of it is the regulation and the freedom. As we're not regulated by Communications Authority of Kenya, y'all are governed by that. As we're freely on the internet, we're not on any radio frequency. That's the difference. And our timelines and the rules are very different. You can speak on any topic. There's no demographic, really, any language. There's a lot of freedom. And the unique thing about podcast is that it's in video form these days. But also radio slowly is becoming on video phone. So it's a unique space. And then I think one thing about podcasts, they're very specific. They're podcasts about motherhood, finance, money, masculinity, femininity, food. There's podcasts for everything. And you know, it's very hard to find ati radio ya chakula peke.
True.
Ama radio ya women peke ngumu. But with podcasts, there are different people coming up with whatever they feel. There's a mommy podcast, women talking about motherhood, fatherhood. You know, that's the uniqueness about podcasts. It's really free.
Talking about podcast as well in Kenya, what is the state right now?
The state is, I think it's okay. We're doing quite okay. The numbers are increasing every other day and I love it. Zinakuja mpya na zingine napenda. Sitadanganya. I love the podcast coming out. You're seeing Kenyans really expressing themselves. Watu wanajitolea na information, watu wanafungua roho. And you can learn something hapa na pale. Kuna wengine ni wasahau jina yao lakini niwapenda sana. Two young girls, they really talked about religion. I didn't get the name, but I really, really like them. And I think it's such a unique space kwa sababu inafika point mpaka watu wanajua they can make money out of it. There's money in podcasts. Because remember, you have subscribers on Spotify, you have subscribers online, you know, you have subscribers on YouTube. So unaangalia unasema, kumbe naweza tengeneza shilingi on the side while still expressing myself. Sauti yangu tu nikitumia.
But Kenyans on podcast prefer topics on relationship.
Najua hiyo ndo mambo mnapenda.
Nani anapenda?
Mambo sekete, mambo nani alikula nani, mambo nani aliwachwa saa ngapi. Amna kitu kingine kuongelea nyinyi. Amna.
Where do you see us as Kenyans? What is the future for now podcast?
I think the future is bright because as much as you say that, people are embracing uniqueness. Ukiangalia pale YouTube space, because podcast case ina grow, pale YouTube space kuna wale couples, kuna ingine ya mummies, kuna ingine single anafanya lifestyle, mwingine ni manuele. So kila mtu anakuja kupenda kile anataka and what fits them na ina work na inasonga. So I think it's great. And if you think it's a joke, can you imagine, and I'm not even here to advertise, some government parastatals ziko na podcast sai.
Haya.
Kama KRA ina podcast yake. Na hata wanilipi kusema hii mambo. But hata mimi nilishtuka. That's how much podcast is really changing institutions. That's sasa ndio nyinyi muelewe mambo ya kulipa ushuru ni nini. Sasa mtaenda kusomea hapo kwenye hiyo channel yao. So you see, it's become such a unique thing. kama watu wanaichukua kwa parastatals nini, what else? Can you imagine how big it's going to be?
Of course it will be big with time.
Yeah.
But for me, one thing I love about podcasts is that we have been given an opportunity to untold our stories.
Yes. That's exactly even what my podcast is all about. It's called the POV podcast, the point of view. So you look at the life of Silvah from his eyes. Tunakuja kuangalia kutoka macho yako hapa nyuma. Tusikie ulifanyaje, ulifika saa ngapi, kuliendaje. Ukaitwa vipi Kido na si Kidum. Unaona?
Kido ni kichapa.
Kido. You know that's the night. You know mara kwanza nimejua. Mimi nafikia Kido is a kid. Kido kipesa. Kumbe. Na ndo maana maybe today I've learned. So I think podcast space is really amazing, and I love the fact that people are able to express themselves. Kila mtu anakuja, kuna podcast ya maua ya mangu, watu sana wanaongelea mambo wanapenda and what makes sense to them.
Talking about podcasts now, if you go through the POV podcast right now, I see there's amazing stories you've done with a couple of celebrities, media personalities, artists. Is there a story that ilikutouch kidogo ukasema wow? I think mimi nilikuwa na discover vitu mob kwa podcast. Hata hizi season 2 la kwamba nimelearn so much, zingine hata zinafanya nisikie kulia. One of the last ones, your episode I did with a commercial sex worker, she's called Wanjiko, iliguza roho yangu sana because kusikia plight ya mademo na kwa street na ile maisha upitia inakuumiza. But also I learned so much from my friends. I thought we were just friends, wako cool, but hiyo ndio one of the most impactful bana. Kusikia sio wanaumia kwa streets, wanangangana kujitafutia na watoi wao. Iliniguza. I had to rethink my life again because hiyo mambo ni serious sana. Ukiona mse anaumia na unaona. But then, you know, such is life. You're happy to hear people's story. That was one of the most impactful stories. Another one that shocked people, gani ilishokwa sana. Ni mob. Ya Prezo ilikuwa very interesting. Wase waliipenda sana. Oh my God. Guy ni mingi. Yara's like, I can't buckle down one. Another one that was really big that people loved was Auntie Jemima. Ilikuwa poa sana. Ya Auntie Jemima ilikuwa poa sana mpaka. You know, iliniguza roho Talking
pia.
about not ready to settle down.
Yes, it became a little bit sticky. Juu hata watu walinikasirikia. Anasema, wewe unataka wasichana olewe, kama mtakitaka olewa chasi olewe, kama mtakitaka olewa si olewe. Mimi nasema hapana, wasichana olewe. Nakwambia nilipigwa vita, but you know, such is the life.
Alright, we're coming back with more in the next few. But for now, Kuku Willie Paul, who's currently in Germany, featuring JZYNO, playing on baseradio.co.ke.
This is Base Radio.
We are 254 to the core.